Hello, hello, and welcome back to Happy Time, Happy Money podcast. And I am your host, Viktoriia Miracle, here with you with the Gven. And his name is Gwen, but his students call him Crypto Swami. He has been teaching crypto since January 2018 and has a group of approximately 300 successful students currently. He loves what he does and he loves everything that crypto represents pertaining to freedom. Hi, and welcome, Gwen.
Hey, how's it going, Viktoriia? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So good to have you here with us. And as always, we start from the same question that I'm never going to be tired to ask is to share more about you. I want to know how you got into what you do right now and what inspires you to do what you do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started into crypto in June of 2017. And, at first I started because I heard about the gains and all that stuff, but then I started learning more about crypto and I stayed for the revolution, right? And, I was involved with the bull run in 2017, 2018. And in January of 2018, I started my own educational business because I just fell in love with crypto. I just loved what it stood for and all that stuff. And so I ended up getting about 40 students back then. And I ended up going through a divorce in 2018. And then literally within the same 30 days, I ended up with cancer. And this was in September of 2018. And I ended up having the surgery for the cancer. I went through my divorce. I had to weed out a lot of businesses because I did have a whole bunch of businesses. I was in the law for about 18 years before that. And I ended up dropping my educational business because one, we were in the bear market, and two, I wanted to survive and I had to really bring my stress down. I had stage 2 colon cancer. And so within that time and 2020, I ended up moving to Russia, where you're from. And I ended up, because I didn't go through chemotherapy, I ended up going through a treatment regimen with a Russian shaman out there for my cancer stuff. And while I was out there, literally the world locked down. And I was about to come back to California, which is where I was from originally. And when I did, or when I was about to, I said, you know what, I'm going to stay out here. And I was still in the law. I was still doing all these things. And when I was out in Russia, I had taken a few cryptocurrency things because I felt like the market, was about to turn around, but I didn't really know much about what was going on. I saw things going on like with Celsius and Nexo. And then I brought a little bit of information to read. And when I decided to stay on that same exact day, I opened up my stuff, my laptop, and I just went to work. And I worked from literally 12 p.m. in the afternoon till 4 a.m. in the evening. And I closed my laptop when I was done and I was like, holy shit, this thing is about to blow off top. And I started to see all the underlying stuff for DeFi. And this was roughly in around April. So like all the DeFi summer and the farms hadn't come to fruition yet. But once summer came around, we just started crushing it. And I said, I got to start teaching this again. So I literally left my job at the law firm. I was making, in excess of $500,000 a year. And I said, I don't care what I get paid. I'm going to come back here and this is where my passion lies. I love crypto and I love what it stands for. And so ever since then, I've been teaching crypto.
That is so cool. And it's like I see more and more people just like leaving everything and just getting into crypto because it's truly, like you said, it represents freedom. It represents the revolution of freedom that we're going to. And DeFi, right? You mentioned DeFi. For listeners, it's a decentralized finances. And I want to dive deeper into that because I think this is a true future for us really owning our own money and finances. So can you just elaborate on that more? What is it and how does it work and what's the potential?
In terms of DeFi. So DeFi, we really specify in teaching yield farming, which hopefully some of your audience knows a little bit about it. But yield farming is essentially, it's not anything different than what we're used to. So like the way I like to equate it is, let's say, for instance, you have like the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ is a centralized exchange. So essentially what happens is the NASDAQ provides two things in order to create what's called liquidity, okay? They provide stock, and then they provide an equal amount of dollars for the stock on the opposite end, so that people like you and I can go in and we can trade Apple stock or Tesla or whatever we decide that's on, let's say, the NASDAQ, right? And what ends up happening is every single time a stock is traded, you pay a fee of anywhere between $10 and $150 on average for them providing liquidity. Now, some of your people watching at home might be going, well, I never pay that. Well, if you're part of, like, let's say Robinhood or TD Ameritrade, you may not pay it, but they pay it on your behalf, right? And in exchange, you give up a lot of information, right? And so what ends up happening, though, is the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, Binance, Coinbase, these are all examples of centralized exchanges. They all end up making billions of dollars from these fees so that people can trade. Well, now we have these things called decentralized exchanges or DEXs, right? And what happens is you, Viktoriia, and me, and whatever, let's say 300 of my students, and the guy in Peru and the guy in Russia, right? What ends up happening is we can now pool our money together using what's called a smart contract. And instead of one main institution making money, you and I are able to make those fees, that $10 to $150 per trade, so that we keep that money, right? And now we're becoming the bank, we're becoming the institution. And that really gives you a lot of freedom when you have the ability to do that. And so that's, like, kind of in a nutshell what decentralized finance is.
So what potential do you see for that? Like, what is it that going to be, where we can use this, and who is going to use this?
Well, the cool thing is right now anybody can use it. And you know, that's where I think the government is having such a hard time wrapping their head around this, because they're like, how do we stop this thing? Well, you don't. You literally have to shut down the internet, right? A lot of these companies, they're called DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations, which means the power lies within you and I, right? So we control the ecosystem, we vote, right? We hold and own the tokens that control these different blockchains or these different projects, right? And so it's really interesting when people ask me questions like that, because I'm like, you know, this is really the future, and it's so easy to access that anybody can get into it. But here's the thing, Viktoriia, the problem is not the problem. The thing that people don't realize is, you know, a lot of people say, yeah, I'm in DeFi, right? And I go, oh, what farms are you in? Or what NFT gaming stuff? Where are you putting liquidity, right? And they look at you like you're crazy. Like, what did he just say? Did he say a cuss word to me or something in crypto? You know, and I go, well, look, you might own DeFi coins, but you're not actually putting them to work, right? And so I think there's like 20 million people in the world that use cryptocurrencies. Out of that, only 600,000 people are in DeFi. So let that sink in, like how much room we have to go, right? And, you know, DeFi, it's as simple as literally, you know, somebody, let's say in Peru or the country of Georgia or Russia, literally all you need is a wallet and a little bit of crypto, and you can start participating in liquidity pools. And, you know, maybe not on the Ethereum blockchain, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but like on the Matic blockchain, on Polkadot, on Binance Smart Chain, on Kronos. These are all blockchains that are suited towards the little guy, which is what I love, because you can do all these micro transactions and they don't cost you anything. So literally you could come in with 25 bucks if you wanted to and provide liquidity, and nobody's going to say anything about it. So that's, and you're able to make, you know, massive returns that we were never able to make before, because these centralized institutions kept all the money to themselves.
Absolutely. That's, yeah, absolutely. So what is the yield farming, right? Explain just how that works in terms of how you're getting this massive returns.
Yeah, so yield farming is a little different than like the NASDAQ expression that I gave you. So when we yield farm, right? Let's say, for instance, you want to yield farm a pair. So just like the NASDAQ, right? Instead of like Tesla stock and cash, okay, we would have a pair like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And what ends up happening is when we pool our money together, okay, you're going to make a fee off every single trade that is made in the amount of anywhere between 0.25% and 0.3%. Okay. And what ends up happening is, depending on the trading volume that you have and the amount of money and people that are in the actual liquidity pool, you own a portion of that liquidity pool. So let's say, for instance, Viktoriia, we've got a liquidity pool of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you end up putting in $10,000, okay, into this liquidity pool with 10 other people. All right. And that whole pool is worth $100,000. Well, you own 10% of that liquidity pool. Well, let's say that the fees generated during that day are $1,000. Well, you're going to get $100, which is 10% of the $1,000 on that day in fees, right? And so this is how we're generating such massive returns right now. And I have a saying: we don't speculate, right? We're not traders, we accumulate. We're investors, right? And so instead of, trying to time the market and find all this stuff, like technical analysis, I say all that's BS, right? I say put it in a liquidity pool or in a farm with two stable coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you're going to earn an additional 50% in Bitcoin, in Ethereum. So at the end of the day, let's say you have one Bitcoin, well, you're going to end up with 1.5 Bitcoins, all right, at the end of the year, if you're getting paid 50% APY, right, or annual percentage yield. And so that's really how I've accumulated a ton of wealth, is just simply by being the bank and learning this new skill. Now, it's relatively easy to yield farm, but at the same time, getting in is hard, and finding the right information is really, really hard, because you can really get into bad projects where you could have a rug pull, which means the developers take your money. You can get into a scam, a complete scam where they're lying to you, all these things. You could have a farm or a liquidity pool that could go illiquid. So these are all things that you do have to learn before getting into DeFi, because there's a lot of ways to lose money, more than just one.
So what is your favorite ones?
So I've had many favorite ones. All right.
Well,
but
give us top three
Okay.
that you like, love, and they're legit and great.
Yeah. So I mean, when you look at it, there's a few there. Obviously, man, which ones? I would say right now, there's one on the Solana network that I'm in called Tulip.garden. Okay. And it's actually a leverage farm. So for those of you degenerates listening to this, all right, you can actually get into Tulip.garden, and essentially, let's say you have $100 worth of SOL, right? And you want to create a liquidity pool with SOL and USDC, which is a stable coin, right? And so what ends up happening is, if I only have $100 in SOL, I'm only going to make 50% off of the amount of SOL that I have, right? Well, now Tulip.garden allows you to actually borrow USDC. So instead of farming and getting an APY of 50% off of just your $100, now you're getting 50% off of $200 with borrowed money. Okay. Now you have to understand how to use that. It's not as simple as just how I said it, but that's one of my favorite ones right now, because you use other people's money to make more money, right? And then let's see, there's another one on Chronos. Okay. It's called beefy.finance. They just added, and then also Auto Farm. Those are probably the other two. So Chronos is what's called an IBC. Okay. And an IBC is Internet of Blockchains. Okay. And the whole thing behind the blockchain that's been a barrier to a lot of people is blockchains up until this point have not been interoperable. Okay. Meaning they don't talk to each other. Well, Chronos is interoperable on a what we call kind of a layer 0 called Cosmos. Okay. And Cosmos allows different blockchains, Ethereum, Polkadot, whatever, ADA, Cardano, to now talk together so that you don't have to be doing these complicated bridges or selling into one crypto to transfer it into an ecosystem. And it's really, really changing the world. But Chronos is definitely one. Chronos is Crypto.com's blockchain. So just how Binance has the Binance Smart Chain, Chronos has the Chronos blockchain. And right now, I think just on my Crypto.com coins and my dollars, I'm making something ridiculous like 73,000% APY.
What for on the Crypto.com coins?
On the Crypto.com coin and dollars.
No, because the more people getting, so the whole point with those farms, you want to find them early, because the more people get in, the less APR you have.
Right.
And that's why it's always good to stay up to the, to the information. And it's like in crypto, you gotta just be always in it. Otherwise, it's just growing so fast and it's just going so far that if you're not following things, like you're probably behind.
Yeah.
But that's the cool about being crypto, right? And I think like entrepreneur or a lawyer, you've been a lawyer, it's like, it's always good to like have a kind of movement around and understand things are going new. I really love one farm that are actually guys from Florida created. It's a cup DeFi. They are having also really good like returns on the stable coins, which is right. There's like 50% just on stable coins you can get. Like that's huge.
Man,
it's like
that's low.
I mean, that's good. It's stable.
You got it. No, but no. So you got to check out frax.finance, frax.finance. So I actually got into Frax on the private sale. And so Frax, it was actually built by some developers from a project back in the days when EOS was going to be a thing. And they built Everpedia, which is the Wikipedia of blockchain. So they built this stablecoin project that is the absolute best, Viktoriia. Right now, I'm making like 100% APY on that one, just on my dollars. And this is this one is actually backed by USDC. So the way they mint their stablecoin is by backing it with USDC, which is really, really cool. And I've been in it since January in the farms, and the APYs just keep going up. So there's times where I'm making like 255% on my dollars.
That's crazy. Just imagine, people. So imagine you have $1,000 in a year. If you do like 255, it's like you have 350. It's 3,500.
Right.
Just by saving it in this farm instead of your Bank of America that gives you 0.001% or whatever. I don't even know how many zeros after zero.
Right.
It's like crazy.
Right.
Absolutely. Wow, that's cool. I definitely am going to check out, and I'm going to link everything, all the links that we mentioned also in the episode page that is always on in the show notes. So yeah, that's cool. So what about, I know we also wanted to speak a little bit with you about gaming. We have a few more minutes, and I wanted to touch on that as well, because it's a huge part of DeFi as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So
NFT gaming. Yeah.
Gaming. So once again, we've been teaching crypto back since 2018, right? When it was like literally the only thing you could really do is like trade it on a centralized exchange, right? There was decentralized exchanges back then, but it was like really, really convoluted. But when I remember in like April or May of 2018, I went to the movie theater and I saw Ready Player One.
I just watched it literally a few days ago, and I was like, how did I not see that movie? It's just so good. If you have not seen it, please go see it.
Yeah. Viktoriia, I've literally watched Ready Player One like 15 times since then.
I'm going to watch it more because I'm going to show it to my friends and sit with them and show it them.
Go play a play to earn game, right? And then go to Ready Player One, and you're like, holy shit, this is really coming up, right? This is really, really coming up. So I saw Ready Player One and I said, this is where crypto is going. And I remember I had a chat at the time and I had like 40 students in it. And I messaged all of them. I'm like, you guys have to come and watch Ready Player One. This is the future of crypto, all these other things. And we didn't know that they were going to be called NFTs back then. I mean, we had like crypto kitties, but like crypto kitties was like stupid, right? It was like, whatever, dumb. That's not going to catch on. Well, as soon as I saw this summer Axie Infinity start to take off, I'm like, I'm going to check this stuff out. And it was the same rabbit hole that I did when I got into DeFi back in Russia, right? And I was in the country of Georgia. That's where I was living at the time over the summer. And I'm going like, oh my gosh, this thing is blowing off the top. Like literally during like May through August, when the crypto market was completely going down, the NFT gaming market was exploding, right? And so I started to take a look at it and I'm going like, wait a second, this is really the way that we're going to save the world, right? This is the way we're going to be able to even out the playing field for people in third world countries that don't make enough money. Because like, let's say, for instance, my Axie Infinities, I've got, I think 22 teams or something like that. Well, I have people in the Philippines playing for me every single day. And just right there, we split the profits, okay? But I'm making like $6,000 per month in passive income from these people playing these Axie Infinities. And then the added bonus that these people are making like $400 to $500 per month, okay? Which is like $100 or $200 more than what they were making as a waitress or as a Uber driver or whatever. And only working or playing games, I should say, for only like 2-3 hours a day. So this is really going to change the landscape. NFT gaming is not going anywhere. I don't care what the crypto market does, really. But now, you know, I've gotten into a whole bunch of other games. I'm in Axie Infinity, Ether Orcs. I don't know if you've heard about that one, but it's a really, really cool one. I'm into Illuvium, which still hasn't launched yet, but I'm actually farming.
Soon it's coming, very so soon.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that it is really, really interesting to me, because the two head guys, I don't think they're developers, but the two head guys are the two brothers of the main guy from Synthetics Network. And I forget their names, but their big brother is the one who basically founded Synthetics Network. And I was just like, oh my gosh, when I read the white paper and I went through the tokenomics, I'm like, this is
Illuvium? You're speaking about Ether Orcs or Illuvium?
Illuvium.
Oh, the Illuvium. Yeah, Illuvium, it's definitely going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Definitely something to get your hands on it. I'm going to put those names into the show notes for everybody to just go and check it out. Just like, like Gven said, every time when you start to learn about project, go to white paper and tokenomics. Even if you don't understand, just start reading them and you will start understanding them more and more and more. You will see the difference between bad white paper, good white paper, bad tokenomics, good tokenomics. So totally go for it. Well, thank you very much. It was very, I think, information rich, and my audience has a lot to do and a lot of homework to go over, which is absolutely amazing because this is great resources. And I know you have a free gift as well on top of all of it. And also share, please, where my audience can find you.
Yes.
Where they can get in touch and learn more from you.
Absolutely. So we have a 30-minute consultation that we'll do for free for your people. If they go to our website, they can apply for it there. It's arcrypto.io. And then in regards to following me, there's really only one place that I go to, which is Instagram. And my handle there is @SwamiCrypto. And be careful, because now that I'm getting bigger, there's a bunch of scam artists claiming to be me. So that it's only @SwamiCrypto, nothing else. No underscore, no dot, no nothing.
Oh, perfect. Yes, we will link that as well in the episode link, and you can go and click there. It's going to be the right one. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and always good to learn from such amazing people like you, Gwen. And thank you for watching or listening to this episode. If you watched it, if you all listened, give us a comment, like, or subscribe, anything that you can spread more love and support to this channel and this Happy Time, Happy Money podcast. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next week. Bye.